Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a very special guest. How you doing, JP?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Enjoying the cold weather out here in Virginia.
Ooh, that doesn't sound fun.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, just to kind of jump into it, can you tell me how you got started in the social media and YouTube?
I started doing YouTube back when it started. I was just uploading video game stuff like Guitar Hero playthroughs and stuff, and how to video game tutorials like Grand Theft Auto 4, believe it or not.
Okay, that that's honestly how I got into it. I did a little bit of that, but not too much because I wasn't very good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't very good either.
So as far as the creative side, when you started doing normal content, how did that process come around?
I was always looking for something that was kind of niche because on YouTube, when you're just starting out, you're probably trying to discover a lot about what you can do or what you want to do. But in order to grow a channel, you have to have some sort of focus because that way, you can optimize people finding you. So I was really inspired by Epic Mealtime. I watched it with my friends all the time. So I thought food would be a good element to kind of penetrate into the YouTube market.
And I remember when I started watching your videos. Gosh, it's probably been maybe 6 or 7 years back, maybe further than that. And it was just one of those things where they were so well done and so well edited that it looked like you guys have been doing it for a very long time. And I know how hard it is to get into that and try to upload on a consistent basis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I mean, if you look at the ones in 2013 when that started, they were really bad. I mean, I think they still have charm to them because I scripted everything. Um, but they're not nearly to the production level that they became. But that was just with my desire to up the production. Like I could have just was fine with what I did and just stayed stagnant, but I always learned new techniques or skills and watched a lot of YouTube to kind of follow the trends and the style and also kind of shift gears and pivot when necessary to stay relevant with the YouTube culture.
How did you know when it was time to shift? Was it just looking at the algorithm?
You kind of run an idea into the ground and then you have to kind of, you know, you have to kind of learn when to milk the idea as much as you can and then kind of pivot and do something still on brand but different and hope it works. So it's kind of a scary transition, but every pivot that I made during my journey was calculated. I think travel was very necessary because it started from a homegrown in the kitchen to really just getting out there and seeing the world in food and junk food. So I thought that's endless content. If you start traveling, that's years and years of content.
Yeah, and I remember the earliest videos that I saw where you were in the small kitchen and then moved up into the bigger and bigger kitchens and the bigger sets. And like you were saying, the production value went up. But I just something about the content that you put out is what made me want to start trying things on YouTube, and I eventually landed on this. But I think that your success in that is very inspirational, especially to me because I've learned a lot watching your content.
That's great. I mean, that's exactly what you need to do. Everyone that wants to be a YouTuber, sometimes I ask them, I'm like, do you watch YouTube? And sometimes I hear no. And I'm like, well, how are you going to get good at YouTube if you don't even watch YouTube?
Exactly, and my wife and I watch it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's you see some content that you're just kind of like the concept's good, the content's good, but the way it's laid out is could be better.
Yeah, the
But,
execution.
like anything, you start off, the first videos that we did were horrible because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, yeah. But that's beautiful. Just going into it doesn't matter. You just gotta do it. Too many people are perfectionists. It's very odd to see people's thought process. Majority of people that want to do YouTube, they want to have the best mic and the best camera and the best set, and they forget the most important thing, and that's just finding out if they even like it. You spend all that time doing all that, and then they start making a video, and then I think they enjoy the process of making it, but they don't enjoy the actual process of doing it.
Right. Yeah. And I found that to be one of the best parts for me is we started off using, I think it was an iPhone 11. So we didn't have anything fancy. And,
Yeah.
that's for me, it was just about learning how to edit because, I'm not technical at all. I'm working in the automotive industry. So this was a total right turn for me. And learning that process over the past 2.5, 3 years has been a learning curve, but it's a challenge that I love doing and approaching because it's different every time and you never know what the result's going to be.
hmm Yeah, absolutely.
So once you started traveling, did you see the follower content start to climb when you guys started doing that?
Um, no, I think you hit like a peak on YouTube where if you're lucky and you hit that peak, there's nothing that can really stop it. But then I think it kind of levels off. So I think I was lucky to level off for years.
And I found that watching certain um, YouTubers and their content, everybody has something they're trying to get into, whether it be food or you have the people that do the car shows and searching for cars. They do all kinds of stuff. So on YouTube, there's something for everyone. You just got to find that one thing. There's not a lot of.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to find something that no one's done.
Did you find it easy once you started getting into it and getting into the habit of things that being different and trying to stand out is the best way to grow your channel?
I just did. I didn't really think about being different and standing out. I just thought about inflecting my personality and I thought I had a good enough idea. Healthy junk food at the time. I thought that was a good enough idea. I knew that I could just cook food and eat it, and I love fast food, so I was like, I'll just go through the whole list, of fast food, and that's a beautiful feeling because then like you have multiple video ideas stacked up right away. You don't have a burden of like, oh, what am I gonna do next? You just going through the list. And I'm like, well, I think there's a demand for this. It didn't even matter like how much it stood out, but I did, as I was learning, I did make jokes and, I'm, I had a huge comedy background. So I was like, well, might as well make it funny. So I feel like that can't hurt.
And see, that's what caught me is not only the content, but the fact it was entertaining from beginning to end. And for me, that's what catches my eye. If it's entertaining and I can sit there and watch, a 10 to 15 minute video,
hmm
then you've stumbled on something. And that's what I try to incorporate is watching your stuff, especially your new channel. Trying to see things that you do and how you do them, and try to take inspiration from that.
Oh, okay. So you've seen some of the newer stuff I've done on my own?
I have.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. We've actually subscribed, I think a week or two ago when I stumbled across it. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, the
good. Yeah.
content is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work. I'm kind of doing like passion projects, so I'm not able to like create as much. And like I said about ideas, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. Um, so a lot of the ideas are just like just happen because of life. Like my buddy needed a date, and I'm like, hey, do you want me to just make a documentary about you, like
I saw that.
docu-style?
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
yeah, so I'm just like that. Oh, that could be a video. And then when those McNugget buddies came out, I genuinely wanted them all. So I'm like, I'm gonna film myself trying to get them all. I thought it'd be easy, and then when I found out how hard it was, I'm like, well, I can make this really dramatic for no reason whatsoever. Um, and I took a completely like erratic, just dramatic, intense take on trying to get a Happy Meal toy. You know how ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah, but
But
it was entertaining.
but with my new concept, it's just me. It's my life. It's gonna be what I'm doing, where I'm going, and because I've had so many years of editing experience and just knowledge of pacing and thumbnails, just because I've done so many, that it did kind of give me like a little bit of a competitive edge, because even though I don't have a big following there, people will see it, and I know that if they see quality, they'll stay.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I stumbled across, excuse me, your Instagram and saw you were jumping into doing stand up comedy, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I've been doing that for a while actually. It's not as I didn't start promoting it really until like a year ago.
And I think some the stuff that you've done has been hilarious from what I've seen.
Yeah, yeah, no, I absolutely love it. It's I'm gonna be traveling to Austin the first of the new year, Austin, Texas, and I'm gonna just be out and about in the comedy scene, networking, booking shows, doing mics, just being submersed in the culture. But in the same token, I do want to be able to upload some videos of my journey, and then to make the work not as labor intensive, I'm gonna probably do a lot of like car podcasty life updates. Um, that way, I can kind of share my story, because like what I'm going through is absolutely insane, and I'm I need to I guess I just have to run everything by a legal team before I like do or say anything. But my life's been insane, like lately. It's just absolutely insane. I can't even. It's it would, if I ever wrote a book. My goodness, like the ups and downs of my life have been absolutely ridiculously crazy. Um, so it's um it's like right now it's like it's not gonna end. This is gonna be like a year of like pure pain and torture, and I'm just trying to get away. I think having a different scene, different city, state is gonna be so therapeutic and refreshing.
Yeah, and I can see that from from an outside perspective, and then also doing your comedies, got to be a outlet, so to speak.
Yeah, it's so fun. Anytime something ridiculous happens, I kind of incorporate it into my comedy. I keep things very vague though, you know what I mean? Like unfortunately the internet knows me too well, but the general public usually doesn't.
And that's the thing that I don't have as big a following as you do, but I can only imagine what that's like to have something like you're going through happen, and for everyone to have an opinion on it, which that's I guess that's just the internet. Everybody's going to have an opinion, regardless whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's like part of the job.
It's almost like being a celebrity. And that's just crazy to me that, you know, people are like that, but that's just the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah, we live. I mean, like with social media, we live in a world where like practically anybody have can garner an audience or a following if they're consistent enough with it. And then what comes with that are people's opinions. You know, you can think about it as friends and family though. It can just be as simple as friends and family. Something happens in your life, you're gonna have friends and family doing the same thing the comments are doing. You're gonna have good friends that know you. You're gonna have acquaintances that don't really know you. You're gonna have family that you've never even really met, talking, running their mouth. But with the internet, it's just the same thing, you know? Just on a greater scale.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I've had a few, random people pop in, but it's one of those things where I try not to, not so much dwell on it, but I try not to read those, which is hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard not to read them. I would say I stopped reading maybe like 5 years in. I stopped reading. I read less. When we were in our heyday, though, we were getting like 3,000 comments a video, and you can't read all that anyway. Um,
No,
and I never read anything other than YouTube. I don't read Facebook comments. I don't read Snapchat, Instagram. I don't read any of that. I would always just read just the YouTube stuff. Um, but when in our hate, oh my gosh, I can't even. It's so crazy to think about. At one point we would get 1 million views in less than a day. We would upload a video and we would have like 50,000 views in the first 30 minutes or something like that.
wow.
And I remember like turning my notifications on just to screen record the thing, and these are just comments coming in. It was so cool.
What was that feeling like when you had that video that just took off and went viral and just had, thousands?
Like you hit the jackpot at the casino. Julia was working. I busted the door into the restaurant and be like, "We did it!" And then I had my laptop open on Social Blade for the entire evening. I didn't fall asleep. I was just staring at the subscriber count.
And see,
I was
that,
like, "Oh my god, my life's gonna change forever now."
yeah, and I couldn't imagine what that's like just to, all of a sudden just to be so well known for one thing that you've put out, and then that's, once you hit that, from what
You
I'm
have to
told,
keep
that's
once
just
you hit that, you gotta hammer it out like no other. You didn't make it. You just got gifted the opportunity to make it. So when that opportunity happens, you drop everything. Every person you know, every friend you have, every party that you're supposed to go to, you drop it all and you start pumping out the best shit you could ever make because they're
and see
there now. They're ready to watch the next one.
exactly, and I I know consistency is a lot of it, but I do find it sometimes difficult to stay consistent because you do get burnt out.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to that's all within each individual's tolerance, capability, and workload. That you can only measure yourself.
Yeah, and like, I know on my end, we try to upload at least once every week, and of course, over the past year, I haven't done that, which it's hurt the channel a lot. But I'm getting to the point where I try to, do like you're saying, just be consistent and roll through it and just keep going.
Give yourself a time every week to upload, and usually that keeps you accountable. That's what kept me accountable.
How hard is it for you to come up with content once you have a generalized idea of what you're looking to do?
It just gets harder with time. Because the whole saying is you're running out of ideas is very true, real thing. So when you first start out, you should not be running out of ideas, is all I have to say. When you first start out, you should have millions of ideas. But after doing it for a long period of time, running out of ideas is definitely can happen. So it's not that you run out of ideas, you run out of good ideas, and there's a difference there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
when you run out of good ideas, then people are like, you ran out of. They'll say, oh, you're clearly running out of ideas. No, you're just running out of good ideas. You never run out of ideas. um, but yeah, I think the longer you're in it, and unless you pivot, come up with a new concept or a new segment, it's very easy to run out of it's very easy to run.
And do you find when you started, did you find it hard to know whether it would be good or not, or you just put it out there to see what it did and the traction that it got?
I liked what I made, and I put it online, and then I liked every video I made. I might not like them now, like some of them, but when I made them, I liked them.
And I think that's important too, because when you're doing stuff like this, it is literally a full-time job, and it's one of those things you got to love what you do.
Yeah, it's definitely more than a full-time job. It's a lifestyle. And I tell people that want to get into YouTube, I'm like, it's like people that are in the NFL or people that are in like whatever profession that got them there. You got to eat, breathe, and sleep it. You can't just casually do it. If you want to be like really successful at anything, you have to kind of go all in and go beyond what the norm's gonna do. Because if you just do, uh, the average amount of effort, you're gonna yield the same result as everyone else giving that effort. And those people might make maybe I don't know, might be able to pay their rent a month, or might be able to like pay the electric bill or whatever. But it's not gonna be something where it'll be your full time hustle. And I'm realizing more and more in today's day and age that what we did was incredible, to be able to like quit a actual job and do that. Like, people in the comedy scene, everyone's got a job. And if you don't have a job in the comedy scene, there's a few things that could happen. A, you got money from somebody, like a trust fund. B, you're broke living in your car. Or C, no, that's it. You got a job. You either got a job, you're broke, or you got someone's somehow funding you.
Exactly. Yeah. And with it being a passion, especially, with what you're doing with trying to do the YouTube thing and build that up and then build your repertoire for comedy, it's got to be very taxing. But I would, like you said, I would imagine you have days that you work on certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I know that if I wanted to like do well in the comedy scene, I need to just be posting short, funny reels, and that's it. Like, I don't even have to do these long format videos. I could just post these short, funny reels. And then sprinkle in, I don't know, tour dates or people knowing that I actually do stand-up comedy. Because the short format, I don't know if it's going to last forever, so we're dating this podcast. This is before 2024, but people grow on short format very quickly, and you don't really grow, unfortunately, you don't really grow a quality, engaging audience on short format.
Yeah.
It's
You,
really
you
hard.
probably
Hmm?
go ahead.
Just saying, it's really hard to grow a quality audience. And I'll give you an example. If you're scrolling through your For You page, you're not actually looking that person up. You're just scrolling through and then they show up. So you didn't choose that person. You may enjoy that person, but you didn't choose that person. And until that person starts showing up all the time, do you finally make a connection or a link going like, that's the dude, what's his name? Oh, Jimmy, he's great. And then like a week later, you could be like, dude, there's this really funny guy I watch on TikTok. What's his name? Oh crap, I forget. It's crazy. So crazy. There's just too much content.
Yes. And I've learned that with Instagram, TikTok, especially, with those in YouTube. There's just so much out there.
Hmm.
So as far as the comedy thing, are you just going to, like comedy clubs and trying to book yourself there, or?
When I was in Orlando, I just had a lot of networks, so I could book shows pretty much anywhere, and get on showcases or actually do real shows, book myself real shows. And a lot of it was due to just, again, networking is huge. And if you don't, honestly, if you don't suck, you're gonna get booked. They want more comics. They want different people to come to their clubs and not be the same people. Um,
Yeah, and I can imagine that, but from an outside perspective, do you find it not only like a challenge, but do you find it difficult to try to be different than other people that are going on stage?
no, not at all. I feel like everyone just has their own style. Um, for the most part, I think everyone's got their own style. I mean, we all get inspiration from other comedians. Like, a lot of a very popular style people like is the Mitch Hedberg style, and I'll tell you why. It's really, you don't have to act, and that is, in my opinion, kind of a cop out. Mitch Hedberg was a genius because his writing was so good, and he could get away with looking at the ground with sunglasses on, with long hair like Kurt Cobain. But these other comics go up there, think they can do the same thing, and I'm like, no. And the reason is because A, their writing's not as good as his, and B, a lot of humor comes from inflection and act out and in physical humor. And if you're not using that part of your body, you're almost not doing yourself justice.
So as far as you getting into comedy early on, who did you look up to in the comedy scene?
Like for famous comics, my favorites are like for different reasons, but Bill Burr, Louis C.K., and Jim Gaffigan. Those are three very dynamic, different artists. Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and Eliza Schlesinger is a really funny female comic. To give props to female comics, that's a very hard to do too. So female comics have it really hard because comedy's based off of so much. Like for example, bodybuilder. It'd be really hard for a bodybuilder to be a comic, and it's just because of what we're used to seeing and what we find funny and what we can relate to.
Right, right. And I can see that, as far as it being a difficult thing to go from one thing to another, especially if people don't know that you're funny and that you have a history in doing that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I find it very interesting, not in a bad way, but in a good way, that you were able to transition and show a different side of yourself as you were making the videos, and now like on your Instagram and stuff, you're starting to see stand up videos from you, doing nothing but funny bits, which is crazy amazing to me. I mean, most people will see that and see that as a hard transition, but it looked like it was very not super easy, but it looked like it was easy enough to make that transition since you were used to it.
Yeah, I started doing stand up before I started the food channel.
And I think that your success is very inspirational to other people because you see where you came from and to where you are now. And granted, with everything that's going on, but you see that side of you, and then people see that not only can you do really great videos, but you're also really funny.
Yeah, I really did want the comment to be the first and foremost of
You
every
know,
of every video.
yeah, and I found that amazing. So, as far as what you have coming up, do you have any shows coming up?
No, I wanted to get out of Orlando, so I stopped booking. I don't think the key to success in stand up is booking, to be honest. I think it's to grow the audience and 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 then upload your jokes to as reels, whether you want to make them like a sketch that was part of your act. Because if you just go up on stage every week, it's like bands. You can play in all these different venues and you just keep going up and people will be like, "You're great." And then they leave. And then you do it again. "You're great." And then they leave. And unfortunately, a lot of these musicians and artists and comics, they don't know how to market themselves. And first and foremost, that's the most important thing, is to market yourself. And right now, social media is the way to go. And I think Dane Cook was one of the early adopters of social media, which made him kind of like such a superstar back in the day. So I have nothing booked. I have no plan, but I do know that I'm going to go there and I'm going to just be present with the community, network, make friends, make sketches, get inspired, make more videos, make jokes, maybe even grow my material. But I definitely don't say like booking shows. It's That's not going to do it. But performing all the time is necessary. So it's like working out. Every comic will tell you you got to put in your reps. So that's where performing is very, very, very important, because it gives you the confidence, experience, and stage presence to look professional. And if you're rusty, you will go up on stage and look rusty. When you're in your prime, you go up there and nothing can touch you. But if you're rusty, you'll look rusty. It don't matter how good your stuff is. It don't matter how many times you said the jokes. If you're rusty, you'll look rusty. I've seen some of my favorite friends, comics that haven't done it in a bit, go up and they're just rusty.
Yeah, and I think you're right when it comes down to it. Repetition's key, no matter what you do, if you want to be a success. And then marketing is a huge thing too. I agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it that, or at least early on, I know you're not doing it now, but when you started posting those things, did you find it easier for people to try to
Hey guys, my name is Jake.
remember, um, people to remember you by posting them on social media and things like that? Because I've heard people say social media can be a double-edged sword
Oh, for what?
as far as being able to grow your audience, whether it be YouTube or trying to do more stand-up to get people to notice you.
What's the double-edged sword, though?
As far as people saying that social media is really not the way to help grow your brand, and then you have people that say that social media will help grow your brand, especially since we're a social media society. Everybody's on it just about.
Well, I would think a double-edged sword would be if you were to do social media, like there'd be something that could hurt you from doing it. And I personally only see the only way it could hurt you from doing social media is if you just aren't ready and you're trying to advertise yourself. But I think if you're ready, or you're putting yourself out there at least, I think so. Anyone that says social media doesn't help grow your brand, I don't think that's a very wise thing to say, unless they're just not good at it. Because social media is a gift that we've been given to grow your brand, because that didn't exist back in the day. You had to do all sorts of other stuff to grow your brand back in the day. By advertising spots, commercials on public TV shows, billboards, you name it. So I think if you're not on social media, you're not taking advantage of a tool that society's offered for free.
And see, that's the way I feel about it. I feel that social media is more of a asset than a hindrance, in that if you're consistent, no matter what you're posting, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, if you're consistent, then your audience is going to grow, and they're going to see, oh, well, you're over here, you do other things here, and you do things here,
Mm. And
and then
people
that,
are on it. That's the main point of all this. If someone were to say, "Don't advertise on TV," they'd be stupid, because that's what people watch TV. What do you mean, don't advertise on TV? Where are you gonna advertise? You know, I just think that it comes from a lot of ignorance. People that say that. I think that most people that say stuff like that are making a different point. And their point might be, oh, I hate social media. I'm not on social media. I will never be on social media. I don't even watch social media. Well, then that's just not your audience. It
right?
doesn't mean that there's billions of people that are still on it. It doesn't negate the fact that there's billions of people on it, and I hate to say it, if you're not on social media, statistically, you are in a huge minority of people. And there's nothing wrong with being in that group. But don't advise someone to join your minority group in order to grow a brand, because their ideologies aren't mainstream. You can't grow. I mean, you can grow no matter what, but it's just not good advice, in my opinion. If someone's goal is to grow on social media, or grow an art, or grow a business, or grow a brand, if they're doing it without social media, good on you if you make it. That is awesome. But you could make it a little easier, you know, with the tool.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So as far as where people can find you on social media, and then on your new YouTube channel, which will link everything below, but where can they find you to see your content?
Yeah, so I made it my name because my last name is kind of hard to spell. But I just figured, well, what the heck? So it's just JP Lambiase, and I usually tell people it's lamb like the animal, IASE. If you did write JP Laughs or JP Comedy in search, sometimes I show up, but there's also a comedian named JP Sears that is obviously that's my goal to be more popular than this JP Sears person. So at least my name shows up when I type in JP Comedy, because you'll not see me pop up if you write that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, listen, JP, I appreciate you taking time out to talk with me. I don't want to keep you too much longer.
No, absolutely. I love sharing whatever I've done. So any chance I get to be able to spread that, I'm down to do it.
Excellent. I definitely would love to have you back on again once you get established and start doing shows so we could start promoting that and talking about the experiences there.
Absolutely. I would love to have a follow up, because it'd be interesting to see where I am from the time of this podcast. So,
Yes, sir. I will definitely keep in touch.
all right. Well, thanks again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I hope you have